What's up? What's up? It is your girl, Miss Cat, your coach, accountability partner, and teacher. And we're here with yet another episode. And this is season 3. So y'all know how we doing it this season. We're bringing on some great check writers, some great guests to help us kick off this season. All right. Now, before we get into the conversation today, I got a little bone to pick with my co-host. But before I do that, go ahead and introduce yourself for those that don't know you.
Am I going to tell the people who I am? Okay, it's your girl, LaShonda Dawn, checking in for sure, one half of the Party Palace, and we are going to go ahead and pick this bone.
So, today, I was getting ready, trying to decide what I was going to wear on this episode. And
Lord.
You know me, I ain't mad at the Miss Cat line. You know, strategy is the new hustle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool with wearing my brand. But today, I was trying to wear my both sides of the check shirt. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? LaShonda Dawn never gave me my shirts, guys. So I just need y'all to jump into her inbox or leave a comment, do something. I only know that I only got 2 fans on this show. I know most of y'all team Sean, but for my 2 fans that rock with me, tell them I need my shirt, okay? So that way I can rock both sides.
I'm gonna get the shirt. I will get the shirt. I will get the shirt done.
Okay.
I'll get the shirt done.
So with that being said, that actually leads me to our guest that we have on today. I'm super excited to have you. So thank you for coming by. And we're not the type here to try to introduce folks. We let y'all handle that y'all self.
It's good. It's good to be on the show.
Awesome.
So I guess I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Teo the Don, CEO of Wealth Culture clothing line, streetwear. And yeah, man, it's feel good to be here, man. I've been waiting on my opportunity to get on the show, so I'm finally here.
Okay, well, we are happy to have you. So I know that you said you have a clothing line or, whatever. Yeah. So tell us just a little bit more about the brand, and do you have a certain demographic that you serve? Like, tell us about, wealth culture.
Well, yeah, wealth culture is, it's a streetwear line, I do basically a lot of different designs and stuff myself, custom designs for a lot of different people. I done a few things for Sauce Walker, a few people out of his camp, L Train, and, different people. I don't target a certain demographic, because I consider, my designs to be for everybody. And, I like to have fun with it, you know what I'm saying? And people love it. So I love to see people with my stuff, when I see them out in the club or in the streets or whatever. So everything is, it's a good feeling.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you say, you've done a few things for Sauce Walker and a couple other people for sure. I also seen on your Instagram you did what's the one, Cake, Mr. Cake, whoever?
What is his name? Smackwater.
Okay.
Smackwater. So me and Smackwater, we kind of like going back and forth with a different, some new stuff right now.
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff going and a lot of stuff coming up, like little movie deals and, different little skits he do with rappers and artists and stuff like that. So we've been going back and forth with some new designs and stuff like that. So, Smackwater's a good guy to work with.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, in saying that too, also give us a little bit about how you got started. Like, first of all, where did you get the name Wealth Culture from?
Well, Wealth Culture it originated from, back in my street days, me coming up in the streets and seeing a lot of different people, do their things with the cars and, the clothes and different things like that. So, I always wanted to kind of like, go back to my neighborhood and give back. Not just give back, monetarily, but, like give them some education on what to do with their money, because nobody ever gave me that information or the way to go about becoming wealthy.
Okay.
And you know what? That's a great thing, once you start to get motion, to go back and give back. Right. But with that being said, let's talk about the story. Like, let's talk about how this came about, because on this show, we have our term check writers and we have check cashers, right?
Right.
And I don't know, have you always been a check writer, meaning your own entrepreneur, or what's the story before wealth culture and just being an entrepreneur, period?
Right. I mean, it's ironic that you said that because I was just thinking on my way here. You get a lot of people that's in the streets that's hustling and doing whatever they're doing. You know what I'm saying, to make money. And I said a lot of guys that's in the street. We all entrepreneurs because we make ways to make money and take care of our families. So we all entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship has always been embedded in me.
Gotcha.
Since I was a youngster or whatever. So, me coming up in the streets and understanding, different ways to make money. And it didn't really register to me till I went to prison. So I went to prison and I sat down and I really, put my thoughts together. Like, it's other ways to make money besides the way that I made money in order to, for me to be incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? So, just putting different things into perspective and my whole life into perspective and, coming up with different ways in order to make money and stay free is what really led me to, start Wealth Culture.
And you know what? First of all, I just want to say I appreciate that transparency because at the end of the day, one thing that I know with this show, we want to show the realness.
Right.
And everything ain't always coming from a corporate 9 to 5, so on and so forth. Like you said, at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if this is something that's bred out of that, that's the same thing, where we've talked to many other entrepreneurs, fight or flight. Survival of the fittest. It's like the same capacity, but just in a different way. So I appreciate you, mentioning that.
Right.
And in saying that, you came from the streets and you thought of other ways to make money. What are some things that you took from the streets, be it good or bad, that you've brought along with you along the way to make Wealth Culture be as successful as it has been? Like, what would you say has really been a nugget for you from your own journey?
I would say that there's just taking losses, like not just, monetary losses or whatever, but being incarcerated, man, you take losses for like your family, I lost my mom, my dad, different members of my family. So all this was motivation for me to do something great, or greater than what I did when I was, in the streets or whatever. So all of these things like that, I take losses and turn them into triumph, based on, me gathering the information about, different, like I watch y'all show, and gathering the information from you guys, it helped push me, helped motivate me in order to, okay, this is a light bulb, you know what I mean? They just keep going, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I take a lot of losses and turn them into triumph. So that's like my biggest motivation.
Okay. We appreciate that shameless plug now too.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna run over that part.
No, I ain't just saying that.
We appreciate that, but seriously, you said that it's been some loss, and there's been some things, that could have taken you out. So that's a great a segue into our next segment because this is both sides of the check, and we grown. And I think that we all been to a point in life where we done wrote a check and it and the NSF may have transpired.
Just a lot of people, they take adversity different, So I look at adversity as it's a chance in order to do something greater.
And that's a great perspective. But I would like to know, through the course of your journey, has there ever been a situation that could have taken you out in your business? Because you're still here. Thank God. You're still here. We can see that the wealth culture is still thriving and popping. But has there ever been a time where one of those losses almost took you out? And if so, how did you bounce back from that?
Of course. Just making executive decisions sometimes could be difficult. As far as like design wise, like I come up with different designs a lot of times. Like people tell me like, man, you drop stuff like every week, you know what I mean? But, sometimes those designs that you drop, it could be a flop, you know what I'm saying? It could be a go, or it could be a no, So I take chances, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes when I get out and I market or whatever, it's like those designs don't really hit like the other ones, and I done put a lot of money into it. That's just like in the business, you put a lot of money into your business and you hope that it's gonna work. It look good to you, but your audience might say something different. You know what I'm saying? So it be that, and it also be, just life in general.
Gotcha.
paying bills and, different things just come up out of nowhere that you got to take care of, you know what I'm saying? And,
That could take you out. And we just being real. That could take you
it
out.
definitely could
That
take
could
you
take you
out.
out.
It definitely,
Got
just
you.
putting all your eggs in one basket, it could definitely take you out. So, that's just a common,
Yeah.
that's just a common denominator just doing business sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You gotta,
I think it's obvious to say that without no risk, there's no reward.
reward.
We get that,
exactly.
so we know that as full-time entrepreneurs. But was there ever like anything in particular? Because what I realized, through most journeys, that there was one thing, maybe when you first started, or, something that may have potentially shut your business down if you didn't bounce back from it. Maybe you haven't experienced that.
I mean, not really.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of particular, how I do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like just investments. You know what I'm saying? Investments it could definitely take you out, but you got to know how much to invest and when to invest. You know what I'm saying? With it
Okay.
it ain't gonna take you completely out the door. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I might have $100 a day, and I might go buy 10 T-shirts, and I got to know for sure that design gonna make me $400-500. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's all about calculation. So yeah, I'm taking me completely out. Not necessarily take me completely out. It depends on how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on how you look at it. Like, the setbacks can be complete. It can look at certain people completely out if you used to having certain things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said too, it's all about calculating your steps, just like your shirt, Cat. You know what I'm saying? Strategy is the new hustle. So I think we also dealing with a culture now where they take the necessary steps to be strategic. So they may not take as great a risk as you and I may have taken along the way, because we built our wings on the way down. We didn't have all of this, social media a lot of times coming up, being an entrepreneur this long, whereby now it's a lot of information just like readily available. I mean, whether it's free or somebody charging you to do it. So it's not as great a risk as it has been in the past. So I think that, with that particular question, it gets a little touchy. It just depends on how long you've been in the game too. Because if you have somebody that's been in the game like 5 years, let's say, well, 5 years ago, the information was plentiful.
That
but
part.
10, 12, 15 years ago, it might not have been plentiful. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great,
we was building it then.
Great point.
So, I mean, it just all depends, because now you get on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, and one thing will make you go viral. And you, from one day, you got $10 in your pocket, the next day you got 10 million in your pocket. So
I done had a lot of conversations with a lot of, like-minded entrepreneurs like myself that do streetwear, and they deal with a lot of manufacturers. And a lot of manufacturers, they can, it can be shaky, you know what I'm saying? Especially now with the tariffs and stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't, me, myself, I don't deal with manufacturers.
Okay.
I do everything,
by hand.
By hand, so to make a long story short, yes, I have seen that, guys deal with manufacturers and don't get nothing. And they be lost, and they lost out, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to be careful how you do business or whatever. Not saying that I'm perfect or whatever, but, I have had some setbacks. But, just like I said, I use the analogy of the $100, I can try to make, bounce back.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? But like completely ground zero, I haven't never reached ground zero, like $0, you know what I'm saying? But,
And you know what we talk about, and we have talked about this very frequently on the show, that the hustle and the grind got to be in you. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that kind of, to Sean's point, where the setback might not hit you as harder because you have something inside of you that snaps quicker than maybe it might snap for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So while I might be out there trying to do, designs and play it out, you like, look, that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you can coach, you can mentor, you can get advice, but it still have to be some kind of grit.
Yeah, you gotta have that drive. You gotta have that drive, especially if you're doing something that you like and you depending on.
For sure, for sure.
What I'm saying? Like, to answer y'all other question, like how did I bounce back from, the little setback or whatever? Like, I'm in the streets all the time. You know, I do pop-ups, man. I go somewhere, I put my tent up if I got some product that I'm just dropping or whatever, you know. If social media and the online store ain't really doing what they're supposed to do, I'll be in the streets grinding, you know what I'm saying? I'm calling and networking, talking to people, you know, trying to push the brand, you know what I'm saying? So like you say, you got to have that drive, and that's part of it.
And that's a good thing too, because like, you know, I, for me, am an advocate of digital marketing and digital, but sometimes you gotta get
out in
old
the street.
school.
Yeah,
you gotta get
gotta
old
put
school.
them boots on the ground.
For real.
You gotta put them boots on the ground.
You gotta get old school with it. And I think, you know, depending on what kind of product or what you know, serve, like you said, being out in them streets, showing people the product, you know, to their face, you know, so on and so forth, like that's what you got to do with that type of, you know, product in this, you know, that particular industry. So yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. So I think that, you know, it's safe to say that you hadn't really taken a loss that basically almost took you out, but you did give us some good feedback, you know, about being strategic, moving strategic. That's good to know. And that's a good characteristic to have being an entrepreneur, because you can't always just jump out there and do certain things. You need to take a step back. You need to strategize. Make sure if you're working with a budget, we talked about that on one of the last shows too, you know, working within your budget, making sure you sticking to it and being disciplined, because along with the strategy, you got to be disciplined.
For sure.
You know what I mean? You definitely got to be disciplined.
And, you know, I don't want y'all to miss the fact that he said that he listened to our show. So I just need y'all to listen to, you know, maybe you should tune in and listen to our show, so that way you can get these nuggets and these jewels that we're just giving out for free, for sure. But, you know, again, to each his own.
I think that who it's for is for, you know, and also like the term, the girls that get it, get it. The people that get it. And I mean, you can never have too much information, and you never know enough. You know what I'm saying? You never stop learning, because if you continuously learning, you also continuously growing.
Exactly.
So I mean, and it is about risk, but you got to make those risks be strategic.
For sure, because strategy is the new hustle.
For sure, it's definitely the new hustle.
And with that being said, though, you know, with both sides of the check, you know, this is both sides. We talk about NSF, but let's talk about deposit, you know. So this is the part of the show for those that this might be your first time tuning in. This one you need to grab your pen and paper and take some notes, because we about to, you know, get some deposits and leave some deposits, especially if you thinking that you might want to join this side of the fence. Grace them with some game.
Grace them with some game. We already know you gave them to be strategic. Yeah, we said that. That was one of the things. So if you had to give somebody that's either on the fence or they just came over to this side some advice on what would be the best, you know, what you feel like is the best way to go, and what has helped you to be successful, what would you say? Like when you look straight into the camera and tell the people, hey, If I got anything to tell you moving forward as an entrepreneur,
I got a lot to tell you. I got a lot to say.
Hey.
But before I get into that, speaking of deposit, I want to bless y'all with a few jewels.
Okay. Look.
I'm gonna deposit. I'm gonna give back to my favorite show. You know what I'm talking about?
Look, see, this the benefits of the perks. Look.
Make sure y'all see that bag right there. Okay, I got this one-on-one piece that I dropped. This is one of the latest pieces right here.
Oh, shoot. Look at this purple popping. All right. Hopefully the camera
I'm gonna let
can
you
see,
pull
you
that
know,
one
see
up.
the glitz and glam on this shirt.
Yeah.
Anything in particular that you want to point out?
Yes, I just want to point out a lot of, a few details. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the distress part right here at the top and the bottom, and I also got the garments on the bottom right here to kind of like bring, this is like an oversized shirt. So me knowing Miss Cat's size, you know what I'm saying? So I brought this size in a little bit to make sure it fits her in particular.
I think this was something that Sean was supposed to do with my both sides of the check shirt. But
my brother, hey. I'm gonna make sure I get it to the person who do it. I'll make sure I get it to the person
this on the next show. But I appreciate it. Thank you. And this purple is definitely popping for sure. Thank you. I'm gonna hang this right here.
Oh yeah.
All right, girl.
Oh yeah.
And y'all also can if y'all want to purchase the shirt, you can also go to www.wealthculture.store, and you can purchase the shirts and anything else that you like on the site.
I think we might have to wear these on the next episode. Just to show some love
support.
back for real.
Right. One of our number one fans.
Look, So for those that don't know, if you are a fan of the show, we love gifts. So you can make sure you can send us some gifts and we'll take them very kindly. But no, we definitely appreciate it. Thank you for that deposit.
Yeah, y'all
Thank you so much.
Okay, so back to the, the lineup.
He said he got a lot to say. So
the deposit, I mean, I'm not really gonna say too much, because you can say a lot to a lot of people and sometimes they don't get it, you know what I mean? So, me being me and talking to a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I go back home, like I'm originally from Florida, you know what I'm saying? So I go home a lot. And there's a lot of youngsters in the streets that, you know what I'm saying, that look up to me. So I can go out there and talk to them all the time about, hey, don't do this and don't do X, Y, and Z. But what other alternative am I going to get them? You know what I'm saying? If I don't have the other alternative, they're going to still do what they do. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I like to tell people, man, if you have that drive and you have that hustle, use it towards something different.
Wow.
Besides just being in the streets, I mean, you can learn from my experience, you know what I'm saying? See what I do, if it's just doing clothes or if it's like you like shoes, you want to paint shoes, you want to, whatever it is that you're doing, always keep that drive, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to pay off no matter what nobody say. It might take you 2-3 years from now. If you're consistent with it, what you're doing, continue to do it. It's going to pay off, and especially find something that you love to do. Because entrepreneurship is good is good. You know what I'm saying? You can make your own schedule to take vacations. You got your own hours or whatever. You can write your own checks, make your own deposits. It's good at the end of the day. So look at those rewards. You know what I'm saying? Find something that's gonna motivate you. And I feel like those things that I just named is something that will definitely motivate you.
Okay. In saying that too, what I took from that, just to kind of like, piggyback off of that, like we talked about on this show a couple sets back, just like finding something you love, because it's not always about the money. Right. You know what I mean? Right. It's not always about the money. Of course, you wanna get paid, but we also know that biblically your gifts will make room for you. Right. Like that's in the Bible. That's word. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, so if you're doing something that you love, something that you want to do, it's gonna make room for you. Right. And I think that was something good for you to share with the people. For sure.
It's like, God gonna open the doors for you, but you also opening the doors for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Unbeknownst to you. You know what I'm saying? If you just keep grinding and doing what you like to do and you're passionate about it, doors gonna open for you. It don't matter what it is. You might bump into somebody that, can take your whatever it is you're doing to the next level.
That part.
You never know who you're gonna meet. I met a lot of people along my journey, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna meet a lot more. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Just use different tools, man, and just keep driving and stay motivated.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, shoot, I'm motivated. Look, you know what I mean? And I hope that the people and the viewers, they took those jewels, those nuggets, and we definitely appreciate you, being on the show, sharing your knowledge, giving us these dope shirts, like just really spending your time with us today. Now, I know you mentioned it earlier, but for those that didn't catch it, how can we follow you and how do we get access to, to the wealth culture?
Okay, my Instagram is wealth_culture33, and you also can go to my online store, which is www.wealthculture.store. So just tune in to those two platforms. You can follow me on Instagram, and you can also order online. But if you go to Instagram instantly, you can be able to click the link and order, purchase whatever it is that you see that you like on the site.
Awesome. Okay. Well, look, you heard it here first on both sides of the check. We appreciate having just yet another great check writer here on the show. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So I'm Miss Kat, your coach, accountability partner, and teacher.
And I'm LaShawn Nadon, one half of the Party Palace.
And we're both sides of the check.